Melissa, baby, welcome to my world. Come here.
Hey. You never know who's going to show up at the NoHo.
NoHo? I love NoHo.
I heard that about you. Are we already live right now?
Yeah,
Or are you just rehearsing?
We're blogging and we're talking. Where'd she go?
Hemp. Hooray! I'm Melissa White Chocolate Ballin, and it's my birthday. So thank you.
Wow,
so
really? Birthday.
Being here, and I have presents for all of you watching right now, live on the virtual, and I have presents for you, and this is so epic because I'm genuinely surprised. I really didn't know that the legendary Richard Marsala of Hemp for Victory TV would be making a stellar appearance.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Jason Brodsky running through.
Come on.
Working on the lights. Working on the lights.
Hey, that's how Jason
Being
goes.
here, Jason. Give thanks to the Most High. We're live on Alice B. Toklas Network, Smoke News, Smoke Rules on Blog Talk Radio, and we can't toke in the theater, but we can have a tokeless brownie. I heard Richard Eastman is coming with some very special birthday cake.
No, not Eastman. Anyway,
So
man.
there'll be some sticks and stems in there, some extra roughage and fiber, because it's been rough out there for an activist, but we know that sticks and stems can't get us high, but they can increase our fiber intake. So
great, I could use better fiber.
So,
what do you? Oh, yippee! Dana
since
Beal.
you're here, I'm so excited. This is look upside down and backwards
Yeah.
for Selfie Nation.
Yeah.
And forwards for us, and we're going to do some call and response with the live audience. So when we say yippee,
They know it's yippee.
and they, so let's try it. You say,
What do I say?
I'm going to be your audience because we're here before.
Okay, the audience.
Yeah.
Okay. The
So
masses
you're
will be
gonna say,
showing
when
up in
I
here.
say yippee, you say, and then I'll say it.
Okay.
Let's try it.
Okay.
This is a rehearsal.
Okay, rehearsal. What was my line again?
Hashtag what was my line again? Hashtag what's my line again? And you could win a prize, a handmade, and let there be light.
And there was light. Shout out
to Katrina and the amazing
Hi,
team
Katrina.
at the Lemley NoHo 7. And shout out to our projectionist. You know, my aunt Ina Ballin, may she rest in power, was in the movie The Projectionist with Chuck McCann. May he rest in power. And we're losing a lot of important stars and activists. We have to also recognize and remember them, and also recognize the new activists that are literally being birthed as we speak. Shout out to the next generation.
Hemp, hemp, hooray. Hemp, hemp, hooray.
Hemp, hemp, hooray, and yippee!
Yip, yip, yippee.
Shout out to Dana Beal.
Yeah, I used to live with the Yippies down on Bleecker Street with Dana.
What? Okay, so would you do us the honor? Usually Richard Marsala is interviewing world famous people, but I would like, hashtag ask me anything, that's today. Would you tell a story about living with Dana Beal?
Oh, I have so
While I check
many
in some
stories.
Of our special guests.
Oh,
We're gonna get
absolutely.
4 minutes and 20 seconds
420
uncensored.
Uncensored?
Are you ready for
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Start the
Richard
clock. Are we
Marsala
clicking?
Uncensored, everybody. Enjoy this, but I cannot take responsibility for what might come out of this man's mouth, but I will protest and profess my love for his right to speak it.
I'm writing a book, and I brought I've got an outline. I want to show it to you later and get your impression.
That'll be offline because they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement to find out
no, this is all my material.
until it's downloadable on Amazon. Shout out to my first book, CBD Billionaire, which I'm going to read to you today. It's only 5 pages, and
really?
I would like to personally read it to you. It's our first rehearsal of the audio book, so I'm so excited for all of you to hear it here first at the special engagement of Jack Harrer's Emperor Wears No Clothes. But
Why
right
don't we tell the
now-
people where we're at right now? What's our secret
well, right
location?
now, you're going to tell. We're at the Lemley NoHo 7, Theater 5, like the committee of 5, and there's already more than 5 of us here. I'm going to go check in some of the VIP. You know me, I'm Melissa Ballin, and for my birthday, thanks to Bruce Perlowin, Hemp Inc., Yvonne De La Rosa of 99 High Tide, and Advanced Nutrients, and Karun US, the first 50 people are getting free popcorn and a
Woohoo!
So while you
Do
tell
I get
this
my
story,
popcorn in this
I'm going to go
hydrant?
get
Okay,
you.
so
Because
I
Richard Marsala is first. So what kind of tiny drink would you like? I wish they were serving him.
vodka tonic.
Okay, I'll get you a substitute for that because hashtag cannabis is safer than alcohol.
Oh, we know that, absolutely.
But we
I
are
smoke
going to
for
have
that.
a toast to the host with
The
the most. Give thanks to Jason Brodsky bringing it to you live on
That's
Blog
it.
Talk
There's our man,
Radio,
Jason.
running
Right through the shot.
I'm
We
Melissa
love
Ballin,
it.
and I'm running for California governor. I don't know if you know about that.
No, I didn't. I'm Richard Marcella, and this interests me.
I'm hoping that you'll sign the petition, but we'll
Oh,
find out
absolutely.
more.
I'm a legally registered voter.
We're going to find out more after
hey, we
this
got lights
story
up there.
about you and Dana Beal, live exclusive prequel to Richard Marsala's book on Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, okay.
Smoke
Here's.
News, Smoke Rules, and I'll be right back
Oh, okay.
with
Melissa,
your
leave us. I got four
tiny
minutes
drink
and 20
and your
seconds.
free popcorn. I'll
Oh,
be right
absolutely.
back.
I love free.
Listen to this.
Okay, here we go. Dana Beal, the Yippies, Bleecker Street, 1980. In January 1980, I got involved in the marijuana movement, and the moment I got involved, it changed my whole life. So they had an office down on Western Street here in L.A., and so as the initiative was going on, I kept hearing about back in Washington, D.C., July 4th, they have this big smoke-in, and I went, wow, because I was planning on going to Europe after I finished with the initiative, which ended in May of 1980. And unfortunately, here in California, we didn't have enough signatures to make the ballot. When I wrote down with the legendary people to turn in the papers with Jack Hara, Buddy Doozy. There's such a list of people that have been so dedicated to this whole movement, that I was hearing towards the end about this rally they had back in Washington, D.C., a smoke-in. So I got a number, and it was to the Yip House back in New York City on Bleecker Street. And I called to get information, and this guy, Dana Beal, answered the phone. He says, yeah, you want to come and be a speaker at the rally? I says, I'm going to be there. Absolutely, I'd be honored to. So this was about a month before everything was. And about 10 days before I was going to leave, I called back on the Yip House phone number just to confirm everything. And I got Dana Beal again. And when I got back there later, I said, people said, that's amazing because Dana never answered the phone. But he answered it twice in a row, just 1,000,000 to 1 shot. So I confirmed that I was going to be there in New York City. And by God, July 1st, 1980, I got on a jet plane in LAX and flew on into New York City. And let me tell you, it was great on the plane. We went to the back, and we were smoking hash and joints. It was a party, baby. You should have been there. I said, I'm worried about New York City. All the crime. He said, don't worry. You'll be great. You'll love it. You'll love it. And absolutely, it was awesome. So anyway, I fly into JFK there in New York City, and I called down. I had a number for the Yip House down on Bleecker Street, and I called in. I talked to Cisco, and he says, "You're coming in?" Yeah, because I was going to take a taxi. He says, "Don't do it. What you do from the airport, take Cary bus service to Midtown Manhattan, and then you'll take a taxi down to where we're at, and it'll be much, much cheaper." And I went, "Okay, Cisco, you sound like a true man." And sure enough, got a Cary bus in there. It was like $5 as opposed to about 35 or 40 for a taxi. Got out, got to the Midtown bus station there, Cary bus service, went out, got a taxi, and I'm talking to the taxi driver. Wow, I'm in New York City. I'm from California. I've never been. He could have driven me all over Manhattan, charged me $100 for a ride, but the guy was great. He took me right there because I could tell, I knew it was south of the bus station somewhere. And I'm just a kid, New York, and looking out the windows, and it was amazing. New York City. So he says, what I'll do for you, if I go around the long way, it'll be more of a ride. So I'll let you off at the end because it's a one-way street, and this is the cheapest way. Then you can just walk up to number 9 Bleecker Street. And I was thinking, wow, this guy's really all right. Here, he could have taken me on. I admit I would have been a sitting duck to drive all over New York City. And I get out and I walk down, and there it is, number 9, big wooden door. I knock at the door, knock, knock, knock. And Cisco, that's the first person I met. And we hit it off instantly. And I was at the Yip House with the Yippies, the famous Chicago 7, the Chicago 7, Chicago 68. This was their headquarters, and Dana Beal was part of it. So I went in, I was meeting people. And that evening, because I had spent, in the 1980 campaign, we spent the last 2 weeks on the federal building in Westwood. And I was riding around with these people, and I said, Westwood is almost like, feels like Greenwich Village, New York City. And since I hadn't been there in 40 years, I didn't really, I'd been to New York City before. So that evening we went driving around, and I'm going, wow, this is amazing. It does look like Westwood a little bit. In the ambiance. So I met Dana Beal, did some stuff. I was there, went up to High Times Magazine, gave him some information about Jack Herer and the marijuana movement from California, talked to people. And then July 3rd, Dana Beal, Isla, and myself, we got in a little Dodge Dart and headed off for Washington, D.C. and the 13th annual July 4th Smoke-In. Lafayette Park, right across the street from the White House, baby. Woohoo! Here we come. How we doing? How's the time? 4:20. Is my time up?
Great. No, your time's doing great. We're about to show the movie in
All right. 15 minutes, we're going to be showing the flick. So don't touch that dial. So anyway, that evening, July 3rd, we got it together, and I got the car. And I had Dana Beal. We had to stop at the Yip House on Bleecker Street. Big no parking signs everywhere. And we pull right up front and park. And they go in and do their thing. We're about 10 minutes. And Dana comes out, and Isla. And it's just as we're pulling away, a cop pulls up behind us. And I'm from California. I don't know the culture of New York City. Man, I'm in a whole different world. I'm a stranger in a strange land. But I mean, but who else better to be with the infamous Yippies? And Dana Beal in the car. Oh, my God, that'll get us 20 years. And he says, don't worry, everything's okay. Because I know in L.A. they just stopped us. And they didn't. And I just felt that something was awry or something. But just be cool. It was cool. I found out years later that we had like 2 pounds, 4 pounds of hash with us, and Dana had about $7,000 in cash. This is 1980 money. So we went around, we kind of got lost, and we're in this really bad part of town, and Isla's going, man, this place is so bad, they'll just shoot you. And I'm looking, okay, it doesn't look so bad. And just then the car breaks down. Right. Oh, look at Mr. Richard Eastman. We have the honor and good luck to have Mr. Richard Eastman. The legendary Richard Eastman has joined us. Oh, great. We love Dennis. Dennis Peron had passed away here a few months ago. The first time I ever heard of Dennis Peron, 1975. Remember the year well? I saw this documentary on TV about marijuana, and there was this interview with a young Dennis Peron. And I went, I don't know who this guy is, but I like him. And years later, did I know that I'd meet him? I slept on his couch one night up at his house up in San Francisco. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, we're at his coffee table because some other people were there. There's like 5 or 6 of them smoking hash, ball hits. It was great. You should have been there. Oh, he's such... I love that guy. With his passing, it's such a loss to the movement. He was doing it when it wasn't chic. Anyway, back to Washington, D.C. So we I said, I pull over in kind of a lot area. I says, Isla, just keep your eyes open. If it looks like danger's coming, we can still drive away from what happened. The muffler fell off of the car. So I got under there, and me and Dana, I got under there, and we got the muffler jammed in so it was okay, and we drove safely into the night. So then we get to the Bronx where Isla lived, and the neighborhood where she lived looked worse than the neighborhood that she said was, they'll kill you. I'm going, oh my God, okay, whatever. So we went up to her apartment, and she was getting her act together. And so I went down to the car to do something. And I went, please don't be long, it's scary out there. I went, okay. So I went down, I stayed in the car. And about 10 minutes later, they came out, and we headed off for Washington, D.C. My God, I was so tired, I was hallucinating. But it was a safe drive. I was cool. Smoked some good hash. After all, we had an abundant supply. And I'll never forget, about halfway down, it was starting to get light. We pulled into this gas station. I'll never forget till this day I die. There's these two young men dressed in bow ties and perfect pants. It was amazing. I mean, wow, this is surreal. And I was just from being so tired and everything. So they said, well, what you do is you give us the amount of money that you estimate is going to fill up in your tank. So I figured, okay, maybe $20. So we gave them $20, and it took like $6. So I'm going, okay, we're waiting for our change. Oh, here comes, is that my popcorn and small drink? Hip, hip, hooray. Melissa is returning. And anyway, they said, sorry, we dropped the money. We don't have any change. That's why we asked you to estimate it. And I got pissed off. Damn, I was angry. But Dana says, don't worry about, is this for me? Right?
Free popcorn and a drink. Dana speaks. And when Dana Beal says, don't worry, we don't believe him at all. But
that's right.
We do get some popcorn and a drink for the comments. Hashtag I'm just here for the comments. And let's give it up for our youngest CBD billionaire, although not for long because we have a new youngest coming up, but she could still be the oldest in the end. So let's give it up for Evie of Hemp Can Save the Planet, our newest CBD billionaire, who's got free popcorn and a drink for Richard Eastman. Let's get Richard Eastman up here. He's union. He doesn't show up till 11, but this is a mirage.
Grab the mic a minute. Hello, Los Angeles. Hello, Fox News. Hello, CNN. Hello, America. This is the future standing behind me. What's your name, young girl?
Evie.
Well, I heard you want to be in the film business. Is that true?
Yes.
I used to dress movie stars like Charlton Heston, Mickey Rooney, Denzel Washington, and, well, I could say Michael Jackson, Elizabeth Taylor, but that would be a lie. But, you know, when Dennis Perone died a few months ago, and I'm glad to be here at Melissa Ballin's 6th or 7th screening every month for this wonderful film about our friend Jack Herrera. You know, it was a long time ago, Richard Marcello, when we were the hippies marching across America. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And we're coming up on the 48th annual Smoking at the White House. And, you know, why do I do this all these years? It ain't for the popcorn and the drink. It's for the young little girl next to me and the young little boys and everybody that needs help for medical marijuana. Because, see, all use is medical. And when Dennis Perone left the planet in January, he asked me to finish a mission. And that mission is to be producing the Smoking at the White House for 10 years in a row. And that's less than 60 days away. And if it wasn't for the woman standing next to me and the future woman standing next to me, I wouldn't have been able to do all this. And Kim Quiggle, the producer, the first woman on the permit. You know, Dana Beal and the hippies and the yippies and Avi Hoffman and 1968 was a long time ago. And some people even dispute, is this the 48th or the 49th smoke-in? I can only tell you that in 1970 I was in San Francisco, California, smoking in with a lot of my friends that were still alive, like Jerry Garcia, Janis Joplin. I didn't smoke with Jimi Hendrix, but I went to see him. And I didn't make it to Woodstock, and I almost didn't make it to be here tonight because I was at the wedding in England last night on TV. At 4 in the morning, I was watching the future of the planet with the jolly old queen and her family, but that ain't about what we're here for. We're here for hemp, and hemp can save the planet. And Melissa's been working on this film for so many years. I'm just honored to be that I'm not in it, and maybe in the future, maybe I will be in it, because ultimately you need to step up and help her finish this film. I don't know how many more years I'm going to be on the planet, but I can tell you one thing. I was, yeah, that's what the congressman keeps saying. What does he know? What does everybody know? My gay joke is I'm from Uranus. I'm not from Mars. I won't go any further. But see, Dennis Peron wrote the law in 1996, and it's called the Compassionate Use Act. And I've dedicated this year's Smoke-In to Dennis Peron. We have a poster behind this young lady over here. I don't know if you can see it in the film. And ultimately, there's Dennis and I asked the artist who did the last 3 years of the Smoke-In posters to just put Dennis in the picture. Well, he stuck me in there, and I feel like Cheech and Chong. And Dennis and I used to joke when we had the Hotel Normandy, America's first marijuana hotel 8 years ago, that we were the real Cheech and Chong. Not a pun to Tommy and Cheech, because now I lost my partner. We weren't married, we weren't boyfriends, but we were heroes in a day and age when everything was about love and compassion. And Dennis told me many years ago that I could win this war against people with love. And ultimately that's what I'm going to do, because I didn't have any money to do it. And if it wasn't for Melissa helping me with the Hemp Museum last year, which was a great idea, and I hope someday it will reopen. And ultimately, yeah, the show's about to start soon. And we're here to celebrate freedom of what you want to put in your body. And hemp and marijuana has been around longer than all these people that wrote these books and changed the laws and incarcerated black and brown kids for far too long. So, it wasn't about me. I'm not going to hog the mic anymore. Turn it over to Melissa. I'm here. I might be here next month. If not, I'll be in Washington, D.C. on July 4th, 2018 for the 48th annual Smoking at the White House. Thank you, Melissa.
Let's have a hemp hemp hooray for Richard Eastman. Hemp hemp.
Hooray!
Hemp hemp.
Hooray!
Now, if you're watching live on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, please hashtag hemp can save the planet, and you could win a voucher for a free popcorn and tiny drink for any showing at the Laemmle NoHo 7. Thanks to Hemp Can Save the Planet. And you could win right now, tickets to June 16th, the next showing. Richard, would you do me a favor with Evie and make sure that our vast audience each has one of these flyers? This flyer will be good for a $20 ticket June 16th, where Richard Eastman may or may not be here in 3D, but will definitely have his hologram like Will.i.am. And that's an exclusive, because you know how expensive it is to license Richard Eastman's hologram from the Hollywood Hemp Museum, the virtual Hollywood Hemp Museum, but not the first hemp museum in the world, the first in Hollywood. Shout out to the very firsts all around the world, including myself, who don't always get credit for being the very first. And shout out to the second, the third, because it is really absurd that cannabis hemp is still prohibited in certain places. So we want to let people know that prohibition is a lemon. And Evie, our CBD billionaire, is about to start her own YouTube channel. But today, she's live on Smoke News Radio YouTube live stream. Yes, that is correct. We got a confirmation from Jason Brodsky, not Jason Brodsky of the FDA. Shout out to that, Jason Brodsky. Holler at me if you have any questions about how cannabis hemp is actually relevant to the FDA. But shout out to the Jason Brodsky who's here right now. Who already knows what cannabis hemp is good for. Could we see that lemon over there? So give it up for Evie. This is, we had no rehearsal. We are fully impromptu right now, doing the do live on YouTube. And I have to say, I'm a filmmaker, formerly known as White Chocolate. Master P gave me the name White Chocolate when I ghost wrote I Got the Hookup. over 20 years ago. Holla if you hear me. Shout out to I Got the Hookup. Do and redo. I did put Paris Hilton in her very first film, Beyonce in her first film with Destiny's Child. So I'm super honored to be working with you on your is this really your very first YouTube Live?
Yes.
Is there anything that you want to tell the people about what you know? You're pretty smart for your age, and looks are and everything, but you're pretty smart. So give it up for yourself. Is there anything that you know about lemons or cannabis or hemp? They're all plants. Is there anything else you know that they have in common?
They're all plants, and they're all nature. From nature.
And give it up for nature. High five for that. So shout out and a yippee to Dana Beal, who wants you to know about all forms of plant medicine. And I don't want to litter, so I'm going to put this back in my bug out bag. But we're not going to bug out just yet. But we want you to know to stick around after, don't litter. Stick around, Master P, don't litter. Stick around for after the first screening. The movie is Jack Herer's Emperor Wears No Clothes. It's a short documentary about all the uses of cannabis, hemp, for a fiber, for a fuel, for paper, plastic. Anything that you can make out of paper, plastic, or fiber, you can make out of cannabis hemp. It's not just a medicine, but it is a medicine. Shout out to Dennis Perone, Richard Eastman, and friends.
Shout
This
out
lemon-
to the birthday girl, and we brought her a special gift all the way from India.
Oh, what a surprise.
Carved by the Maharishi Mahesh Yoga, and it's a limited edition of 5 prints of the original first poster of the 48th annual Smoking at the White House. Let's all sing happy birthday to Melissa. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Melissa. Happy birthday to you and many more. Dennis and I want to present you with this hand carved by the Maharishi, signed by Dennis and I, and it was hard to get Dennis's signature, but it's on there somewhere. And that is for you, Melissa, for your birthday.
Thank you so much, Richard. Your presence is the greatest gift and present, and thank you so much. Some people think that Richard Eastman will live forever. The rest of us, we don't know how long we have, but we give thanks for every day, and every breath is a gift. Hashtag every breath is a gift. I'm Melissa Ballin, and I would like to give thanks to those who gave me birth and continue to give me life, my mother and my father, Richard and Rochelle Ballin. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. I love you very much. They're watching now live from an undisclosed remote location in glamorous North Hollywood, California. One of our dedicated live viewers from just outside. And Rochelle Ballin is also in the film with Jack Herer and features her breathe breaks. We know sometimes that the only cannabis, hemp, or medicine we have, sometimes the only medicine we have access to is the air and the power of the breath. So we give thanks for each breath. And we give thanks for clean air. So it is worth noting in nature that a lot of people don't know that cannabis hemp can phytoremediate the air, water, and soil. And a lot of people can't even say phytoremediate. Can you say it 3 times fast?
Phytoremediate. Phytoremediate.
Pretty good.
Phytoremediate.
Pretty good. I'm really putting him on the spot because I knew Evie would be able to do it, but I asked Richard, so that was the trick. Phytoremediation, hashtag that, and you will be eligible to win a prize, is the process of removing toxins from the soil, from the water. And it is worth noting, and I did learn it from Jack Herer's book, but it is verifiable that they did use cannabis hemp plants to phytoremediate the nuclear damage from Chernobyl. And Chernobyl isn't the last damage that we've seen. So hashtag phytoremediate Fukushima. I had the honor and continuing pleasure of producing the Kyoto Hemp Forum from here. So remember, you don't have to increase your carbon footprint or go somewhere far in order to do your part. I was able to produce that right here from North Hollywood, and the Prime Minister's wife, Ake Abe, spoke that she wished she could grow hemp, but it is still prohibited. So if the heads of our governments, if the influencers themselves are wanting to make a change, who is the change up to? Perhaps it is up to us. So I appreciate we the people. I give thanks. Evie, will you hold this beautiful archive for me and maybe show the camera? Jason, will you show her how close to be in frame to show them this beautiful gift? Again, your presence is the greatest presence. Although you can tell, you know, my hemp is distressed. I have worn holes in my hemp. This is Vital Hemp. This is actually, they call it punk rock, and this is custom. You can't buy it like this. I had to have it specially holy. There's a special finger hole. Mine is in the middle, go figure, so I can make the peace sign and the West Side sign. And I'm getting the sign, the peace sign, that we're 2 minutes away from Jack Hearer's Emperor Wears No Clothes playing with German subtitles. So it is worth noting today is May 19th, Shatter Day, and it is during the Cannes Film Festival. It is the last day of Cannes, and I'm Melissa, formerly known as White Chocolate Ballin, art by Lady Dada, a retweet, and I'm going to do the can in protest. I wore flats and I stayed in NoHo because in 2008, a lot of people don't know that cannabis can cure cancer, and a lot of people don't know that Cannes prohibits women from wearing flats on the red carpet. So we are gender neutral, gender spayed, and gender neutered friendly. This is a safe haven for high heels, flats. We only ask that whatever you wear cannabis hemp. I have taken the Wear Hemp or Go Naked challenge, but don't try that at home, because everywhere that cannabis hemp is legal or prohibited, almost everywhere indecent exposure is prohibited. So wear hemp or go naked responsibly. Give thanks to the Most High. And in most theaters, we ask you to turn off your cell phones or turn the volume down. In this case, we ask you to turn the ringers down, but to leave your cell phones on, and please tweet, repeat, and share your favorite parts in English or with German subtitles. Shout out to the Humph Journal in Berlin, and Spliff Tube, and Spliff Magazine, and Soyet Media, and all of our media sponsors, the Help End Marijuana Prohibition Alliance. And stick around, we're going to have an Ask Me Anything with cast members, crew, producers, and Evie wants to say something.
Make sure to see the movie somewhere in June. The Emperor Wears No Clothes. Yeah, here. Yeah. Make sure to see it in June.
Hemp, hemp, hooray! And our guests in June, Karoon June, will be the Pop Brothers at Law, who remind you, you cannot exercise your First Amendment and your Fifth Amendment at the same time, so please choose wisely. You know me, I'm Melissa Ballin, and I refuse to remain silent. We'll have a tweet up. Everyone take your seats. Give yourselves a round of applause for being here. And share your favorite parts at Jack Hearer Hemp on Twitter, at Melissa Ballin on Instagram, Facebook Live, and YouTube on Smoke News Radio. Give us a follow, give us a like, hashtag hemp can save the planet, and you could win a Vape Exhale. We announce the winners July 21st.
me to read out of the book of Jack Harrow, The Emperor No Clothes. Hemp is a perfect archival medium, and Jack gave me this book in 1998. It's copy 130 of 1,000 copies. So for me it's a big honor to read out of this book, and I'm going to start with chapter 2, a brief summary of the uses of hemp.
Item 1 was ships and sailors.
90% of all ship sails, since before the Phoenicians, from at least the 5th century BC until long after the invention and commercialization of steamships in the mid to late 19th century, were made from hemp.
This is airtight right here. The word canvas is the Dutch pronunciation twice removed from French and Latin of the Greek word cannabis.
In addition to canvas sails, until this century, virtually all of the rigging, anchor ropes, cargo nets, fishing nets, flags, shrouds, and oakum, which is the main protection for ships against salt water, used as a sealant between the outer and inner hull of the ships, were made from the stalk of the marijuana plant. Even the sailors' clothing, right down to the stitching and the seamen's rope sole, and sometimes canvas shoes, was crafted from cannabis.
Additionally, the ship's charts, maps, logs, and Bibles were made from paper containing hemp fiber from the time of Columbus, 15th century, until the early 1900s in the Western European American world, and by the Chinese from the 1st century AD on. Hemp paper lasted 50 to 100 times longer than most preparations of papyrus, and it was 100 times easier and cheaper to make.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson grew cannabis on their plantations. Jefferson, while envoy to France, went to great expense and even considerable risk to himself and his secret agents to procure particularly good hemp seeds smuggled illegally into Turkey from China. The Chinese mandarins so valued their hemp seed that they made its exportation a capital offense.
When hemp saved George Bush's life. One more example of the importance of hemp. 5 years after cannabis hemp was outlawed in 1937, it was promptly reintroduced for the World War II effort in 1942. So when the young pilot, George Bush, Sr., bailed out of his burning airplane after a battle over the Pacific, little did he know parts of his aircraft engine were lubricated with cannabis hemp seed oil. 100% of his life-saving parachute webbing was made from U.S.-grown cannabis hemp. Virtually all of the rigging and ropes of the ship that pulled him in were made of cannabis hemp. The fire hoses on the ship, as were those in the schools that he went to, were woven from cannabis hemp. And finally, as young George Bush stood safely on the deck, his shoes, durable stitching, was of cannabis hemp. As it is in all good leather and military shoes to this very day. Yet Bush has spent a good deal of his career eradicating the cannabis plant and enforcing laws to make certain that no one will learn this information, possibly even himself.
Textiles and fabrics.
Until the 1820s in America, and until the 20th century in most of the rest of the world, 80% of all textiles and fabric
and even our flag, Old Glory, were principally made from fibers of cannabis. For hundreds,
if not thousands of years, until the 1830s, Ireland made the finest linen, and Italy made the world's finest cloth for clothing with hemp.
Although these facts have been almost forgotten, our forebears were well aware that hemp is softer than cotton, warmer than cotton, more water-absorbent than cotton, and has 3 times the tensile strength of cotton, and is many times more durable than cotton. In fact, when the patriotic, real-life 1776 mothers of our present-day blue-blood daughters of the American Revolution organized the spinning bees to clothe Washington soldiers, the majority of the thread was spun from hemp fibers. Were it not for the historically forgotten and currently disparaged marijuana plant, the Continental Army would have frozen to death at Valley Forge, Pennsylvania.
The Chinese character Ma was the earliest name for hemp. By the 10th century AD, Ma had become the generic term for fibers of all kinds, including jute and rainy. By then, the word for hemp had become Tai Ma, or Dai Ma, meaning great hemp.
People
Soil is a foundational building block of our lives. We must care for, nurture, and protect its ability to provide for us. Unfortunately, vast spans of farmable land lay lifeless because of industry's negligence to care for our resource. Our community now has the ability to powerfully breathe life and structure back into these once sick and dying soils in just 7 months.
Fiber and pulp paper.
The first draft of the Declaration of Independence, June 28, 1776, was written on Dutch hemp paper, as was the second draft, completed on July 2, 1776. Until 1883, from 75 to 90% of all paper in the world was made with cannabis hemp fiber, including that for books, Bibles, maps, paper money, stocks and bonds, newspapers, etc. The Gutenberg Bible in the 15th century and Bibles from the 16th and 17th century, Thomas Paine's pamphlets, The Rights of Man, The Common Sense, The Age of Reason, and the works of Fitzhugh Ludlow, Mark Twain, Victor Hugo, Alexander Dumas, Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, and just about everything else was printed on hemp paper.
Benjamin Franklin started one of America's first paper mills with cannabis. This allowed America to have a free colonial press without having to beg or justify the need for paper and books from England.
Rope, twine, and cordage.
Virtually every city and town in the world had an industry making hemp rope. Russia, however, was the world's largest producer and best quality manufacturer, supplying 80% of the Western world's hemp from 1640 until 1940.
Also art canvases.
The paintings of Van Gogh, Gainsborough, and Rembrandt were primarily painted on hemp canvas, as were practically all canvas paintings. The strong, lustrous fiber, hemp withstands heat, mildew, insects, and is not damaged by light. All paintings on hemp or flax canvas have stayed in fine conditions for centuries.
Paints and varnishes.
For thousands of years, virtually all good paints and varnishes were made with hemp seed oil and or linseed oil. For instance, in 1935 alone, 160 million pounds of hemp seed were used in America just for paint and varnish.
Cannabis hemp was legal tender in most of the Americas from 1631 until the early 1800s. Why? To encourage American farmers to grow more. You could pay your taxes with cannabis hemp throughout America for over 200 years. You could even be jailed in America for not growing cannabis during several periods of shortage.
Lighting oils.
Until about 1800, hemp seed oil was the most consumed lighting oil in America and the world. From then until the 1870s, it was the second most consumed lighting oil, exceeded only by whale oil.
Biomass energy.
Amongst the thousands of products made from hemp, one of the most extraordinary is Henry Ford's plastic car. Built in 1941, it contained cellulose fibers derived from hemp, sisal, and wheat straw.
90% of all fossil fuel used in the world today, like coal, oil, natural gas, and others, should long ago have been replaced with biomass such as corn stalks, cannabis, waste paper, and other products.
Biomass can be converted into methane, methanol, or gasoline, a fraction of the current cost of oil, coal, nuclear energy, especially when environmental costs are factored in.
And its mandated use would end acid rain, sulfur-based smoke, and reserve the greenhouse effect on our planet right now.
It's also used for medicine.
For at least 3,000 years prior to 1842, widely varying marijuana extracts, plugs, leaves, roots, etc., were the most commonly used and widely accepted medicines in the world for the majority of mankind's illnesses.
Queen Victoria used cannabis resins for her menstrual cramps and PMS. Her reign, 1837 through 1901, paralleled the enormous growth of the use of Indian cannabis medicine.
In the 20th century, cannabis research has demonstrated therapeutic value and complete safety in treating many health problems, including asthma, glaucoma, nausea, tumors, epilepsy, infections, stress, migraines, anorexia, depression, rheumatism, arthritis, Alzheimer's disease, and herpes.
Well, Jack, today'd be a good day to ask your doctor about reefer. And Jack said, ask your doctor about reefer today? You were right.
If you or someone you know suffers from a debilitating medical condition such as AIDS, anorexia, cancer, anxiety, chronic pain, diabetes, high blood pressure,
So you guys join Jack and I and ask your doctor about reefer today. Not only can it and will it save the world, and do a whole lot to make your health a whole lot better.
Yo, ask your doctor about reefer today so you can go ahead and leave the pain away.
Brought to you by the Citizen for Decriminalization of Marijuana.
Act like you know this.
The therapeutic uses of cannabis. There are more than 60 therapeutic compounds in cannabis that are healing agents in medical and herbal treatments. The primary one is THC. On November 5th, 1996, 56% of California citizens voted for the California Compassionate Act, the Medical Marijuana Initiative, ending all legal states' efforts to keep marijuana from being used as a medicine by California citizens. For the overwhelming majority of people, cannabis has demonstrated literally hundreds of therapeutic uses. Among them, asthma.
More than 15 million Americans are affected by asthma. Smoking cannabis, the raw drug as the AMA called it, would be beneficial for 80% of them. Today, of the 16 million American asthma sufferers, only Californians, with a doctor's recommendation, can legally grow and use cannabis medicines, even though it is generally the most effective treatment for asthma.
Cannabis is beneficial for 60% of all epileptics. It is the best treatment for many types of epilepsy and victims' post-seizure mental traumas. Cannabis extract is more effective than Dilantin, a common anti-epileptic with severe side effects.
With 400,000 packets of greenhouse seeds sold this year, an estimated 3 million plants were grown, therefore playing a significant role in helping to reduce the levels of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. Greenhouse customers offset carbon emissions by planting feminized seeds. Greenhouse Seeds is a leader in the cannabis industry and is committed to creating awareness about the importance of cannabis for our environment.
Food oils and protein.
Hemp seed was regularly used in porridge, soups, and gruels by virtually all the people of the world up until this century. Monks were required to eat hemp seed dishes 3 times a day, to weave their clothes from it, and to print their Bibles on paper made with its fiber.
Hemp seed can be pressed for its highly nutritious vegetable oil, which contains the highest amount of essential fatty acids in the plant kingdom. These essential oils are responsible for our immune responses and clear the arteries of cholesterol and plaque. The byproduct of pressing the oil from the seed is the highest quality protein seed cake. It can be sprouted, malted, or ground and baked into cakes, breads, and casseroles. Marijuana seed protein is one of mankind's finest, most complete, and available to the body vegetable proteins.
Hemp seed was until the 1937 Prohibition law the world's #1 bird seed for both wild and domestic birds. It was their favorite of any seafood on the planet. 4 million pounds of hemp seed for songbirds were sold until retail in the US in 1937.
Building materials and housing.
Because 1 acre of hemp produces as much cellulose fiber pulp as 4.1 acre trees. Hemp is the perfect material to replace trees for pressed board, particle board, and for concrete construction molds.
So we can envision a house of the future built, plumbed, painted, and furnished with the world's #1 renewable resource, hemp.
And I'll get to item 12, which is the smoking, leisure, and creativity. I suppose you've noticed my wonderful acting skills. Rumor has it that it's because I got myself some creative living. Oh,
The American Declaration of Independence recognizes the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Many artists and writers use cannabis for creative stimulation, from the writers of the world's religious masterpieces to our most irreverent settings. These include Lewis Carroll and his hookah-smoking caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland.
Plus Victor Hugo and Alexander Dumas. Great jazz artists as Louis Armstrong, Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington.
The pattern continues right up to modern day. But of course, smoking marijuana only enhances creativity for some and not for others. But throughout history, various prohibition and temperance groups, if you will, have attempted and occasionally succeeded in banning the preferred relaxant substances of others.
Like alcohol, tobacco, or cannabis.
Abraham Lincoln responded to this kind of repressive mentality in December of 1840 when he said,
Prohibition goes way beyond the bounds of reason in that it attempts to control a man's appetite by legislation and make crime out of things that are not crime. Prohibition law strikes a blow at the very principle upon which our government was founded, but a lot of people don't even know that.
Great wars were fought to ensure the availability of hemp. For example, the primary reason for the War of 1812, fought by America against Great Britain, was access to Russian cannabis hemp. Russian hemp was also the principal reason that Napoleon, our 1812 ally, and his Continental Systems allies invaded Russia in 1812.
Fancy Seeds, Hempflax, and 420magazine.com are proud sponsors of the Jack Herer Museum and Hemporium, currently scheduled to open in 2010. Using the global reach of the internet and grassroots activism, we hope you'll join us in our bold efforts to preserve hemp history, raise cannabis awareness, and end the prohibition of the natural resource that can save our planet.
It's the economic stability, profit, and free trade. We all know that there is a lot of profit and free trade in the marijuana movement. Sadly, it's being controlled by an out-of-control government that is using it to put us in jail instead of using it to save this country and the world we live in. It's time to change the law.
We can see this unconstitutional prohibition end in our lifetimes. We contend that America's marijuana and hemp laws are like the emperor's clothes. Like tyrants and prohibitionists in the past, this emperor relies on brute force, intimidation, fear, and a virtual police state to maintain his authoritarian, despotic reign, while draining the federal treasury, dismantling all vestiges of the Bill of Rights, while imprisoning innocent souls, like our friend Eddie Leff. We cannot simply call the emperor, the U.S. government, on his and its acts of deceit and manipulation of fact. His guards, the FBI, the DEA, are far too powerful. His fear of shameful discovery so great he ceaselessly uses his power, through funding much of the United Nations and the world's anti-drug crusades, to buy allegiance through bribery and intimidation. Sounds like the Bush administration. Oh,
General Barry McCaffrey and now John Walters, acting the parts of the emperor's advisors, have all upheld the fallacy of the pure fabric that only the purest may see, woven for them originally by Anslinger, DuPont, Hearst, and all their malevolent bureaucrats. Now it is co-maintained by energy, pharmaceutical, alcohol, beer companies, drug rehab professionals,
drug testers, police, prison guards, and prison builders, all with enormous financial interests and police state-style motives. Those American citizens who dare speak out against this tyranny are often slandered as druggers or dopers and maybe threatened with the loss of their jobs, income, families, and property.
We therefore agree with the little boy from Hans Christian Andersen's tale, who, while watching the parade pass by, shouted out with courageous innocence, "The emperor wears no clothes." What do your own eyes see? What are you going to do about it?
Write to your elected officials and to the news media to help create a more conscious political leadership and favorable news coverage on marijuana and hemp. Give credit for good votes and coverage and complain about bad. Register or run for office and always vote.
The cannabis hemp, indeed the plant, we denigrate with the slang name marijuana, will become known to future generations as it was known in past generations, for millennia, as the #1 annually renewable, fully sustainable, non-pesticide requiring, most abundant source of paper, fiber, fuel, and food, and medicine on the face of the earth, with more overall uses than any other known plant.
In other words, cannabis hemp is the greatest plant on earth.
Hemp will save the world, and most people don't say anything about it.
I've got Richard Eastman, the man with the boombox voice. Doesn't need a microphone, but here I am with the microphone. Give it up for Evie, our CBD billionaire, and all of our guests here. I need a little bit of help with a few things. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, would you please hashtag hemp can save the planet? And then tell me the first hashtag you see. Empress of Hemp, would you check on Instagram? The first person live in the audience, I'm still hashtagging, so it's not going to be me for a change, although I like to be first. And Evie, would you do me a favor and go up to the back of the house? Is a famous world peace activist named David Williams, and he has 2 cents for me. Would you go get his 2 cents? Usually I'm giving out 2 cents. It's actually my 2 cents that he's giving. And it came out of my bug out bag, courtesy of my grandma. May she rest in power. She passed away at the young age of 96 this year. 96 is a long run, but she could have lived to be 100 if she wasn't murdered by the pharmaceutical system with opiates. Here in California, we actually got her off of all opiates just using the power of her breath. Shout out to my mom and Palin Yoga. Some of us need a little bit of help with the power of the breath, such as myself, and I like to vape. Shout out to Vape Exhale, one of the cleanest methods of vaporizing. Give it up for the Lemley NoHo, who is bringing us some director's chairs. I'm a director, and I'm also an activist, but you can all be a director, direct your own story and your own movie. I'm Melissa Ballin, and I'm here to tell you it's true. Back when you had to actually shoot on film. All right, so thank you. We might have another one coming in. Now, Evie, if you would show Jason Brodke and Smoke News the Peace Pennies. This is an opportunity. Some of you have seen my Peace Pennies. And shout out to the cast and crew that are here in the building. I'm about to call you up in a moment, one at a time. We don't have a lot of time, but we are having a hashtag Ask Me Anything, and we have some very, very special guests. And this is a family show. You know what? Actually, I'm going to have you go through the audience, okay, and then bring you back up because I'm going to read CBD Billionaire in a moment. But I'd like you to give everybody one of those. We have a few more. And also, hold on, Evie. Give thanks. Today is Memorabilia Day, and thanks for Bruce Perlowin of Hemp Inc. We kicked off the Jack Harrer's Emperor Wears No Clothes special engagement with Bruce Perlowin's Hempy birthday. We've also celebrated Richard Eastman's early, E-R-R-L-Y, birthday. And we're here today to celebrate mine, Melissa Ballin, and to also...
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Melissa. Happy
Birthday to you.
Give thanks to the Most High. I have to give thanks to those who give me life and cause for celebration each and every day. Give thanks to my parents and give thanks to my caregivers. Some of them are in the building right now. Shout out to Buds and Roses here in NoHo adjacent, who have definitely shown me much care. And shout out to all the way in Malibu, because I'm so sovereign, I don't restrict myself to any one county or city. And you know I grew up here in Southern California. So shout out to Sovereign Malibu and my caregiver 99 High Tide. And I'd actually like to bring up our star and caregiver Yvonne De La Rosa, who just swooped in. And Evie, if you don't mind trading the director seats, so we have our future cast member, but you could get used to that chair, huh? You looked really good sitting in there. and trade out for one of our existing stars. Give it up for Yvonne De La Rosa, who participated in the very original that you just saw, Jack Harrer's Emperor Wears No Clothes, and in the feature-length version, which is coming out soon, sooner than later. Give thanks. So I'm going to welcome Yvonne, but Evie, will you pass out one of these? This is memorabilia from my directorial debut, and one of the special prizes that you can win on eBay thanks to the unmarked book. And you'll see it's really vintage. It's from 2006, my directorial debut, where we were the first in the world to sell the rights to a movie on eBay during Cannes. And here we are 12 years later making history. Both of us, you did get the memo, we're protesting the Only Heels in Cannes, because a lot of people don't know that women have been kicked off the red carpet at Cannes for wearing heels. So we did the Cannes, and shout out to our mermaid in her flats. And I'm wearing my flats to walk and march. Shout out to Dana Beal and the Hemp March on DC, 4th of July. I'm going to march around LA City Hall. We're going to hear from David Williams in a minute about the Peace March around City Hall. And you're very active in Malibu City Hall, so maybe you'll take a march in your flats there. But I want to give you a huge hug. We're live on Blog Talk and YouTube, but I love you so much. Give it up, everybody, for Yvonne De La Rosa, my mermaid, my caregiver, my star, and an amazing filmmaker in her own right. So I want to acknowledge how we really have to work together sometimes, and she's definitely a star, an award-winning star. And shout out to stars who do check their ego at the door in order to work with humble filmmakers who maybe only have hemp seed to offer. So thank you for contributing, because you had to film that yourself with an award-winning director she happens to live with, so we don't all have it so easy. That's what I call making use of your resources. So let's talk about that, and shout out to Sam. And if you remember, we actually held the premiere party at the former 99 High Art Gallery, where Empress of Hemp and Legalized for Real met, not at our party, but at your gallery for the very first time. So let's recognize the connections and connectivity of this room, of these people sharing with us all the way in Istanbul and Berlin and the Czech Republic, and shout out to Thailand, Hemp Thai. The power of the internet is really amazing, because it's amazing the people that showed up all the way to North Hollywood, but also who's tuning in. So thank you for making the trip.
Of course, honey. Apologies for being a little tardy.
They don't know.
They don't know that. I walked in when the lights were down, so nobody knew. Yeah, and Sam's in the car with the baby. He'll be right back. But thank you guys for coming at this hour in the morning. Wow, that's so really awesome of everybody and dedicated. Thank you. Melissa, is it your birthday? Thursday. Yes. Can everybody say happy birthday, Melissa? Happy birthday, Melissa. Yay. Of course, honey. You know, you were mentioning being an activist and watching this film again, and all the work and love that you put into it is just so beautiful. It's, you know, you've done so much for so long to help cannabis, you know, find its rightful place in the world, which is legal, which is accessible, which is honored rather than persecuted. And I was very fortunate enough to meet you at a time when Jack Harrer was still alive, and we all had a, you know, I don't know if you may or may not know the story, but I got into the cannabis business. I'm an actress by trade, but I was a teenager at the Federal Building, and there was a hemp rally, And this was in Westwood at the Federal Building in Westwood. Or any of you guys there? It was sometime in the 90s. And it was, what was it? Wow, oh my God, who are you? How do you know that? That's so awesome. Aww. Oh, well, I was there too, and I was a teenager, and I thought, wow, you know, weed and hemp is cool, but that was about all I knew, you know? It's like I just knew it was cool, and I knew that smoking pot made me feel good and took away my headaches, and I loved people who smoked weed. That's all I knew at the time, and I was, you know, being the rebel that I am, and I lit up at the Federal Building, and I handed a joint to a gentleman who had just approached. He was like, oh, wow, who's smoking here? And handed him the joint that we were smoking. And he's like, oh, wow, thank you. And he's like, here, this is a gift for you. And it was the book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. And that was Jack who handed me his book. And I just thought, wow, what a fateful meeting. From that moment on, after reading that book, I could not turn away from what I now knew. I was now aware of all the benefits of hemp on the planet. I was now aware of all the medicinal uses of cannabis. I was now aware of why marijuana and hemp were illegal. And even as a teenager, I was shocked, I was upset, and I was also like, wait, people need to know this. So I would say that's the first day I became an activist. And from that point on, I always did whatever I could, always being very vocal, even at the advice of many people, like, oh, Yvonne, maybe you don't want to say that, you know? Yeah, right? I told a friend the other day, I think he's in the back there, where some people said, oh, well, you might not, you know, you're an actress, maybe you won't get to work on any Disney shows. And I'm like, well, then I won't be working on any Disney shows, you know? Aw, thank you, because this is far more important. And then years later, in 2006, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I remember just doing research and just not believing it. Like, what? Mom, you know, you're so healthy. How could this happen? And in my research, I suddenly started seeing things pop up about marijuana and cannabis. And I was like, wait a minute. And I remembered The Emperor Wears No Clothes, the book. And I was like, yeah. And I started doing more and more research. And I was like, Mom, you need to try, you know, marijuana for the breast cancer. And my mom had never even had a drink in her life, so convincing her to use cannabis was kind of challenging. But she did it, and, you know, that's when we went to dispensaries all around town, and I couldn't find one that I wanted to take my mom to. They just weren't something that I felt comfortable at. It wasn't where it is today. So that's why me and my husband decided to open what is considered the world's first upscale dispensary and the world's first hybrid dispensary. It was a visionary art gallery as well. And that was on Abbot Kinney in Venice Beach. We opened in 2008. And one of the people who graced our art gallery and dispensary was Jack Herer. And I remember when he walked in, I was like, oh my God, it's me, Yvonne. Like he would remember, but maybe he did. And he said he did. And I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool that you remember. And then we decided to host his book signing there of the latest edition of The Emperor Wears No Clothes. So I always think like, wow, what a beautiful full circle. We hosted an awesome after party for it. Remember that? It was very visionary. No, it was very visionary. And it was very cool, and then that's when I met Melissa, right? Did we meet right before then?
I actually met you at a party of yours at your house.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh my God, that's crazy.
4 years later.
Okay.
So it was exciting.
And again, another full circle, like re-meeting Melissa and then her doing this amazing film with Jack. I like to think that everything's for a reason, but sometimes, you know, there's magical things at play, you know, that are we, who's controlling this? Who's in charge here? Because it's all pretty funny sometimes. I love the humor in life, and when things happen like that, it's just like, what? This is like amazing. And I always think, and I believe that there's a spirit in cannabis, that there's the great ganja goddess within this plant, and that she has a very beautiful, magical way of bringing things back around. And I think it's a really important time that we're in now, as we're entering legalization, you know, for some states. It's important to remember that this plant is a female plant, that it is indeed a very benevolent